right. Let's talk to Sal in Ohio.
Okay.
I actually love this, and this is my treat for having to listen to Sam, is to talk with Sal. They're calling about the process of coming out as an atheist versus coming out as non-binary or queer in some way. So I'm very excited about this. Sal, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. First of all, I just want to say thank you for being, vicariously telling off people like Sam for me.
It's my favorite part of this show.
Yeah, and I guess my main purpose for calling is that, we're about to be in Pride Month, and I just wanted to thank you for being role models for me and instrumental in my own coming out to myself process. I've been an atheist since a teenager, but my gender queerness has been a slow revelation over the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot that is tied together with that, obviously, but times have changed, and certain vocabulary I didn't even know about when I was a teenager. So,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
A lot of it didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say thank you for being, open and just, role models for me, because, you're someone I look up to, and also just Eric. My husband is also Hispanic and supportive of my coming out to him as being non-binary, genderqueer.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
So I just
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's really good
Nice.
to hear.
I'd high five your husband. Sounds awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to maybe just kind of, because I'm sort of in the process of slowly coming out to more and more people
Mm-hmm.
that are close to me and that, I feel safe about, but eventually I kind of want to be more and more open about it. And I just wanted to kind of hear both of your guys' stories about your process coming out as both for V, non-binary, and for Eric, and both of you for being atheists.
Yeah, that is, first of all, so affirming to hear. Thank you, Sal. And I'm so happy that you are finding this new facet of yourself and that your relationship is supportive. That is amazing. There is a lot of similarity, I think, between the two. For me as well, atheism came first, and it was, I've talked to friends about this, the difference in realizing that I was an atheist and realizing that I was non-binary was one of them was going outwards and one of them felt like going inwards. So with the atheism component, it really did feel like unlearning a lot of things. It felt like forcing myself out of my own brain, my own body, and into, cold, hard reasoning about a lot of the things that I was told. And that was its own growing process that helped me come outwards and look beyond what I believed or what I thought into, what is real on that rational level. And then for realizing I was non-binary, it was no less real, but it was a reversal of that process. And it was the realization that what I had been told externally was erroneous or, half of the picture, and really having to go in and learn things about myself. So the process was different, but the result was the same, which was a greater understanding of my own depth and my own ability to be who I was at all costs. And it's jarring for a lot of people on both ends, right? There are people who don't mind at all that I'm an atheist, but are really weirded out about the whole queer thing. And then there are people on the other side who are totally down with the non-binary trans stuff, but it's but why are you an atheist though? That's weird. Yeah. So it does become this situation of perpetually being an outsider and having an asterisk next to your inclusion in a group. And that asterisk grows the more intersections you inhabit. So for me, my race is not necessarily part of that intersection in the same way that it would be for you.
Oh my gosh, I never belonged when it came to
yeah. So we all inhabit these places, these intersections, and the more facets of yourself you discover, the more intersections open up, and that can be thrilling and intimidating and gorgeous, and also really scary. And so making sure that you are around people who will honor those intersections, even if they don't totally understand it, is so important, especially in these beginning stages while you're just kind of realizing who you are. And the last thing I'll say here, because I could go on about this forever, is I would give the same caution to people who are coming out as atheists and just starting to realize that about themselves versus people who are coming out as queer in some way about themselves there. And that is, do not let people drag you into arguments if you do not want to, or if that you are not ready, because there are people who will try and invalidate you through just asking questions, right? Or through, okay, but I want to just debate intellectually about this thing. And the assumption is that you should know all of the things because you've decided on something different. And if you say that you do not know all the things, but you still decided on something different, that is going to count against you. And that's unfortunate, but that's how debate culture works in this society.
It can.
What I would say is, if you want to be that, if you want to jump in and be like, no, actually, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong.
Sal, the battler of sea lions, right? Just the destroyer of sea lions. Yes.
Absolutely. Go for it. Make sure you're ready. But if that's not you.
Oh, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. Which is why I'm thankful for you guys.
Yeah, then that's totally fine too. That's not what you should be doing. You should be pursuing what makes you feel whole and what works for you. So yeah, I think it's really cool. But I'm gonna get all weepy if I keep talking. So Eric, go for it.
Okay. When it comes to coming out, I only have my experience. When it came to coming out as an atheist, it was a very tearful event that had more support from some places than I thought I would get, and less support from other places that I thought I would get. The most important thing is that there is no wrong way. Your life, your journey is yours, and don't get browbeat into doing something that you don't want to or aren't ready to do. Nobody knows your life situation. And I'm not just talking to you, Sal, I'm talking to anybody who is listening. This idea that you need to come out to people who are going to disown you, otherwise you're living an inauthentic life. No, you're actually possibly being an adult who's recognizing that there are intricacies to life and that you don't treat everyone the same way. I don't treat my boss the same way I treat my grandma. And because of that, it's okay to take your time on that. When it comes to coming out to my family as being, what's the best descriptor for me? Pan? Bi?
Whatever you want it to be, baby.
Yeah. Not straight. It was many years later, and I really don't think that at that point there's anything that I could have said that would have surprised them. So maybe I just kind of burned off all of the pain receptors, and so I think the more difficult thing was to come out as atheist for me. But there's no way that is going to map onto other people watching. Everyone just has their own situation, but. Advice on coming out. Yeah. Sal, I think that so long as you are practicing compassion for yourself, then where you go from there, it's up to you. But just take care of you. Don't do it for other people.
Yeah, thanks. And, I am kind of more so calling for the sake of just anyone out there in terms of whether they're LGBTQ or not, that, kind of shed light on it, because this is my first, this will be my first Pride Month where I am fully open to myself and like
Yay.
other people. Yeah, and I'll be going to, Columbus Pride and joining in with, a few other, Pride queer events and stuff. So I'm excited about it. But yeah, at the same time, I totally will admit that I do not have any plans to talk about this with my parents anytime soon.
Yeah.
I did thankfully have one sister that I felt comfortable telling, and she was completely like, the best reception I could have got, where, she's just like, oh yeah, that's totally cool. I get that. And, she actually kind of like confided in me about, her being included in that umbrella.
Hey,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a sister like that too.
Hey, Sal, the way that you're talking about it, can I give you one more thing? As much as you say that you look up to what we've done, that sounds like you're further along in your journey in some places than I am. And, just because we are good in some areas doesn't mean we're good in others. Maybe I can ask you and V for advice before you go. How do you deal with imposter syndrome? Every time Pride comes around, I feel like I don't have the right to pick it up.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And I don't know how to stop fighting it, but it is a huge battle. What have both of you done?
Yeah. Sal, I'm really curious to hear kind of what your experience is like contemplating going to Pride as like somebody fully out and like in their own skin this time around. Because for me, it was rough. I didn't want to go back when I was identifying as bi, but I didn't know about my own gender stuff yet. I was like, I don't know if I can go.
Yeah, that was me too. Me too. I kept my sexuality to myself for like, more than a decade.
Yeah.
And didn't feel the need to label myself as such. So I think that's pretty common, because I think of the fact that if you think about it, you've got gay and lesbian, that label is kind of just a lot more hard to hide, or not to not be able to blend in with, heteronormative society. So the fact that you've been able to kind of blend in or whatever thus far, you figure, well, I don't need that, or I don't deserve that label. But like, I think part of the inevitability of all this is that there's going to be more and more people who fall under the LGBTQ umbrella. And, I think some people, including myself, kind of thought for a long time that, oh, well, that's not a good thing for some reason, because if everybody who feels like I do includes themselves in the LGBTQ umbrella, then it's just going to be way too big.
I think it's so useful to think about this in terms of the atheist movement as well. We have among our community people who didn't grow up with religion, had no direct contact with fundamentalism, and are atheists, and are here showing up supporting the movement. Their experience and their ability to go under the radar was completely different from somebody like you or me, where we had to come out to people and then be ostracized from groups and feel like the odd one out and maybe discover it later in life. But we would never look at somebody who was an atheist, a cradle atheist as they call it, and say, you don't belong here because you didn't go through what I went through, or because you were not as visible as I was. You say, welcome, like we need more people. We need you here. And so regardless of how you come to that place, that is where you belong, and your body, your ability to put yourself into that category is what is going to help things move forward. So
I don't know. I guess the LGBTQ community has that so much better than the atheist community does. I thought that when I started getting involved as an atheist, that I needed to be a very certain way, and if I wasn't, then I didn't belong. And I guess I definitely still feel that, but I'm working through it, and I really appreciate both of you talking about your experience, because it feels so, I don't know, I kind of in both situations, as you know, realizing and learning about yourself and learning that, you know, there isn't a God. They're very personal and often very lonely experiences.
yeah.
You know, most people I've talked to who are active in the atheist community had to invent atheism for themselves, because a lot of us thought, myself included, that I felt like I was the only one in the world. And anyway, I'm waxing poetic, and we have a whole bunch of callers. Sal, look what you did. You got us all. You are such a palate cleanser.
Yeah, I was the flip side of the coin to Sam, so you're welcome.
Well, thank you, and happy Pride.
Yeah, happy Pride.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Take care.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Sorry, I started to just like get real personal. I just, I don't know, something I'm working on.
It's definitely, I think there's a certain type of person that's going to feel like an imposter regardless of what arena we are in. And I think a lot of that has to do with mindset just in general. And it doesn't help when you find yourself in a community that is very, you know, fragmented and gatekeepy, and it becomes a situation where you actually do have to fight for that. And yeah, it's complicated, but I love the fact that we got to have a Pride call before I left.
Yay.